Hi everybody, it's Terry Ryder from Hotspotting, and this is my regular weekly feature every Tuesday evening, the Hotspot of the Week. And today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to have a special guest presenter today, Julian Fadini from Prpty360, and we're going to talk about a number of factors impacting on real estate, particularly the outcome of the federal election at the weekend. We're going to talk about an upcoming event in Sydney, a seminar next week being hosted by Julian's company, and at which I'll be special guest speaker. And we're also going to talk about one particular location that we will be highlighting in that event. So a lot to talk about today, particularly in the light of the election result which just happened and how that impacts on real estate. Firstly, I'd like to introduce Julian Fadini of Prpty360. Hello, Julian.
Hi, Terry.
The special broadcast. Perhaps we could start by just briefly telling us a little bit about you and your company and what you do in the realm of property investment.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Terry. Thanks for having me on. Prpty360 specialises in collating data and research and following that research and data to make recommendations of where our clients can acquire and purchase property to get to follow our strategy, which is early uplift and consistent growth. So that's our space, and as you know, we've been a client of yours for quite a while, and your data is very important to our business model and how we get the results that we do for our clients.
Yeah. So you're based in Sydney, but you very much think and operate nationally in terms of looking for the best locations to recommend to your customers.
Absolutely, absolutely. As you're aware, the media can mislead consumers, or consumers could be misled by only relying on the mainstream media for their advice. And so off the back of that, we always dig deeper. And definitely we have been getting our clients some exceptional results in the double digits and six figures in the regional areas of Australia rather than in the capital cities.
Yeah, and very much we certainly agree with you there, Julian, that the focus right now is a lot more on regional than on capital cities, particularly the biggest capital cities. But before we get to talking about that in detail, I think perhaps we should touch briefly on the outcome of the federal election. As we saw it, Julian, last week, there were probably 4 major speed bumps sort of holding back, putting a brake on property markets and property investment. And we've got 2 of them out of the way now. With the election, whenever there's a federal election, and often people just don't make big decisions, they wait to see the outcome. So that's out of the way. And another big break was concern about if Labor won the policies that they proposed to implement to do with capital gains tax and negative gearing. So 2 of the 4 speed bumps that we see are now out of the way, and we certainly feels like, Julian, we have some clear air for people to move forward now.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. The thing I'd like to add there, Terry, is in line with your message that you've that's been coming through from you for a while now, which is the misleading information presented in the media, mainstream media. Because if we look at the federal election as an example, according to mainstream media, Labor had wiped out the Liberal Party completely. Up until election night, everybody thought that was the result, which is a perfect example of if you rely on that media for your information when it comes to investing, then you could be in a similar situation to the Labor Party, scratching your head wondering what went wrong.
Yeah, I'm actually going to give some examples of price outcomes that are happening in major markets around Australia, just to contrast it with what media is telling us, but I'll do that in a little while. But you referred to basically a media sentiment. At the beginning, I referred to, as we saw it, 4 major speed bumps putting a brake on property markets and property investment, the election being one, Labor policy being 2, and those 2 are out of the way. But one of the other 2 to be dealt with is general media negativity, taking perhaps the downturn in Sydney and extrapolating across the country and creating a national crisis that absolutely doesn't exist. But certainly post-election, the media sentiment has certainly brightened up. There's been a very, in terms of what we're reading in the major newspapers, a lot more positive sentiment as a consequence of that election result, and how the share market has reacted and how major players in the property space have reacted. Shares for banks, etc., are going up. So hopefully we're going to see a lightening of that aspects as well as we move forward, because the media tone now is that the election result brings forward probably the bottoming out of the downturn and the big cities, and a chance for earlier recovery. Is that how you see it?
100%, Terry. It definitely is all good news at the moment in comparison to how it's been, like you said, with those speed bumps. And the election and the result also has earmarked in certain areas additional infrastructure spending from the new, or the government being the Liberal Party. So yeah, definitely the sentiments. I know within our business, we've seen clients contact us as a result, and they're definitely looking to keep on growing their portfolios and get back into the market.
Okay, so Julian, next week your company is hosting a seminar for property investors in Sydney. It's the theme is property investors are still making money, where to go for capital growth, and I'm going to be there as a keynote speaker. Perhaps firstly, just give us a little bit of detail about the what, the where, and the when for that event next week.
Yeah, perfect. So it's Tuesday, 28th of May. The location is the Hilton Sydney, 488 George Street. The registration is for 6:30 p.m. It's a 7 p.m. start, finishing at 9 p.m. As you mentioned, you're one of the key note speakers there. Also, I'll be presenting the strategy that we have been using to get our clients the results. We'll be giving the results that they've been getting. We'll be giving some examples of the previous locations, how we picked them, and how we used your data to get those results. And then we'll also give you an idea of where we're going next. We have a guest speaker, Michael Maguire, the coach of the West Tigers Football Club. He will be giving us some insight around having the right frame of mind to get the best results for your life, whatever that may be, whether that's investing in property or other areas. So that's the seminar.
It actually sounds like a great lineup. I'm very much looking forward to being part of it. But the general theme is that, property investors are still making money around Australia. And it kind of, we're referencing the general theme in media, which has been that, prices are falling across the country. Now, we know that's not true. I just want to throw in some statistics, because what we're constantly doing here at Hotspotting is doing a town-by-town, suburb-by-suburb analysis of sales activity and prices right across the country. And we've recently completed the latest quarterly round of that. What we know to be true is, in Brisbane, for example, even though media keeps saying Brisbane prices aren't rising, maybe down 1% or up 1%, depending on whose figures you believe, the suburb-by-suburb analysis shows that almost 70% of Brisbane suburbs have rising prices. In other words, the median house prices are higher than a year ago. So it's 70% of Brisbane. In Adelaide, it's 74% of suburbs actually have prices up compared to last year. Even in Melbourne, which media keeps telling us prices are down 8%, 10%, 12%, depending on whose figures you believe, 44% of Melbourne suburban markets have prices higher than 12 months ago, including 57% of unit markets. So more than half the unit markets across metropolitan Melbourne actually have prices up compared to 12 months ago. And that's completely contrary to the message that we're getting in media. And then we go to regional Australia, where in actual fact the strongest markets now exist. 89% of locations have rising prices in regional Victoria, and in regional New South Wales, totally contrary to the trend in Sydney, 85% of locations, according to our town-by-town analysis, have prices rising at the moment. And so it goes on, 65% of markets in regional Queensland. So Julian, that's why we're going to be having a focus on a certain focus next week at the event in Sydney on Tuesday on regional markets in some of the smaller cities, because what you and I know to be true is that there's plenty of growth happening right now across Australia.
Absolutely, that is 100% the case. We are seeing our clients that have purchased within the last 12 and 24 months in regional areas of Australia having revaluations on their properties now, and the growth is in the double digits. And based on that same research and based on that same data, we are very positive about the new locations that we're working with to get our clients those same results.
Yeah. Now, we thought, Julian, that today in this broadcast, we'd just focus on one location that we're going to put some focus on next Tuesday at the event at the Hilton Hotel in Sydney. And that's Ballarat in regional Victoria. It's a great example. I know your business is interested in this market. We certainly concur that this is a place that investors should be showing interest in. Ballarat is one of the major regional cities of Victoria, which we think, generally speaking, regional Victoria is the strongest market in Australia right now. So, Julian, what about Ballarat has captured the attention of your business on behalf of the people that you provide services to as property investors?
Oh, Terry, definitely the entry point provides an opportunity for a broad part of our client base with really strong prospects for growth. When you look at how much money is being spent in terms of infrastructure in the area, that to us points to if you locate the right areas and spend some time on the ground dealing with the local agents, both sales agents and property managers. If you get that formula right, we're very bullish on the Ballarat area because of the entry point, because of the quality of life people can have in the area, and obviously the infrastructure spend.
Yeah. So what we're finding, and I'm sure you're finding the same thing, Julian, is that one of the many reasons that the Ballarat market is rising right now is because it's getting a lot of interest from both home buyers and investors out of Melbourne, because it's within commutable distance of the capital city. It's a strong city in its own right, but the rail links between the two places are being upgraded in recent years, and there's further upgrades happening. So that's a major factor, I think, driving the growth in the Ballarat market. Also, Bendigo, not so far away as well.
Absolutely, and you hit the nail on the head there. Owner-occupier activity is very important for our formula. We're definitely always looking for owner-occupied interest, and we're always looking to work in that part of the market, assuming roughly that the property market's made up of 70% occupiers and 30% investors. We always advise our clients to be focusing on that 70% of the market, the owner-occupied market, rather than going to areas that are driven and dominated either by local investors or overseas investors.
Yeah. Okay. Now just some raw facts and figures about the Ballarat market to illustrate why both my business and yours, Julian, rate this market. Actually, the population is currently a bit over 100,000, but it's projected that in the next 20 years it's going to double in size. That's the official government projections for Ballarat. So very clearly it's a growth city within the state of Victoria, which right now is the #1 economy in Australia, according to the ComSec State of the States report. According to Bureau of Statistics, Ballarat is the 4th fastest growing city in Australia right now. So that's part of the reason why we rate it so highly. High level of affordability. Many suburbs in Ballarat have median prices in the 300,000, some in the low to mid 400,000s. Growth is happening, double-digit increases in median prices happening right now in many of the suburbs. Vacancy is very low, about 1.5% according to our figures, and that's supporting strong rentals, and so rental yields are much better than what you're going to find in the biggest capital cities. 4.5% to 5.5% would probably be quite the norm in the Ballarat market. And then it's what's coming up, what's currently happening in terms of infrastructure spending and proposed spending on major projects. This is the key thing that we always look for. We're more interested in the future of a location than the present. And there is just a very long list of major projects. So right now there's over $500 million worth of projects currently under construction, and a lot more coming up. And some of those that are coming up are very big. There's a $460 million redevelopment of the Ballarat-based hospital, which is approved and ready to go. Various road, highway and rail upgrades. The Western Highway duplication is a $500 million project, for example. The Ballarat Link Road is a $100 million project. There are a number of wind farm projects in the area around Ballarat, one of which is a $1.5 billion project, and there's another one that the Stockard Hill wind farm is $950 million. So when you start to add it up, there's investment coming into that Ballarat economy totaling many, many billions of dollars, and that underpins the message that Hotspotting and your business as well, Julian, are trying to get out to investors, that these are the sorts of places they should be thinking about.
Absolutely. When the infrastructure spends in the billions, it's proven to us time and time again that if you follow a detailed strategy and look for the right types of locations and the right types of housing product for the market, then definitely there is still opportunity for investors to make money in this market.
Yeah, absolutely, and good money. I mean, some of the price growth we've seen in some of the regional markets, including regional Victoria, in the last 1 to 2 years has been exceptional. There have been locations that have risen 20, 25, 30% in 12 months in the regional areas. So Ballarat is just one example of the locations that we're going to be talking about next Tuesday evening at the seminar hosted by Prpty360 at the Hilton Hotel. So perhaps just one more time, Julian, the details of what, where and when for that event, anyone who's interested in coming along, and how they can actually sign up for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Terry, I'd just like to make the point that Ballarat is one of the locations that we'll be talking about on the evening. We do have other locations as well, equally as exciting and some even more exciting. So once again, Tuesday, 28th of May, the Hilton Hotel in Sydney, 488 George Street, 6:30 registration for a 7 p.m. start, and finishing roughly around 9 p.m. Now, the other thing is we have a special offer in relation to interest rates for attendees and for your clients, Terry. These interest rates have been pre-negotiated and so far market leading from everything that we've seen in there. So for our attendees, we'll be discussing these a little bit further, but particularly for investors, both interest only and principal and interest loans, we have some extremely competitive offers for the attendees.
Okay. All right, so it's an event for people in Sydney or close by, not to be missed next Tuesday evening. Julian will be there, I'll be there, and also some other special guests, and we will be talking about the locations that we particularly rate for current and future growth around Australia. So there is a link here on the Facebook page featuring this broadcast where people can click and sign up for that event if they're interested in coming along Tuesday evening next week. Okay, so that's Hotspot of the Week for this week, with a special emphasis on the event that both Julian and I will be participating in Sydney next week. Hope to see some of you there. Thanks for listening in this evening, and just hang over to you for a final comment and farewell, Julian.
Yeah, thanks, Terry. Really appreciate it. Obviously, we want to make sure investors are getting the right information and not missing out on opportunities to make some capital growth just by listening to the mainstream media. As always, pleasure to work with you, Terry, and look forward to seeing you next week.
Okay, I'm looking for that one as well, particularly in a climate where the election's out of the way. We have a clear and decisive result, and everyone can now make some decisions moving forward with clear political air with some certainty. That's it for now. Terry Ryder from Hotspotting signing off. Let's do it again soon.